Welcome back to Unapologetically Progressive. Now, today we're going to talk about the SNAP program. It's that time of year again where I make an update on the SNAP program so my viewers and other people can figure out what's going on in the future. Usually I wait until like March or April when they're actually voting on it. Right now, the ideas of what's going into the Farm Bill are still very, much in their infancy right now. But the thing is, there are cuts likely coming to the program, and it's going to affect millions of Americans. Now, as we all know, SNAP feeds roughly 40 million Americans. That means roughly 40 million families. And it's a big program. The Republicans, of course, have been trying to cut since at least the 80s, if not before then. But they've been trying to cut SNAP, at least since Reagan and them started using the term welfare queen. And we all know that that's not a thing, right? We all know that there's no such thing as a welfare queen. People aren't out there just willingly, generally being on food stamps. Could there be a few people here and there that are scamming the system? Sure. But is it enough to warrant ruining the entire program for everybody that needs the help? The answer to that, and many questions in life, is no. But before we get into what they want to do, the cuts that they're looking to make, that Trump has suggested they make, and that the Republicans are working on in the House, let's talk about what SNAP is. Who it helps, and some facts about the program. Now, research shows, this is from, let me see if I can find out where this is from, the Center on Budget and Policy Priorities. This is some research that they've posted information about. It says that research suggests higher SNAP benefits help families buy more groceries and improve their nutrition. Well, that stands to reason, right? You wouldn't think you need research to prove that. But I could tell you with my own personal experience that there was a point in time where I was feeding my wife and I on $70 a month without food stamps, right? And on that $70 a month, my cholesterol, my triglycerides, my sodium levels all got so out of whack and so high that my doctor told me that if I did not fix my health immediately, that I would have a stroke and die. At the time, I was roughly 35 years old. I went on the food stamp program, and for a while there, my health improved. My triglycerides came down, the sodium levels came down, my blood pressure went away. I was doing great. Then they started cutting the food stamps back to, once again, where I had $70 a month to feed my wife and myself. My triglycerides immediately shot through the roof, my blood pressure came back, and my weight gain returned. Because when you don't have the money to buy food, or buy proper food, you buy the food that you can survive on. Whether that's canned soup, ramen noodle, you do what you can, right? And the fact is, you have an administration who has a guy that's running Health and Human Services who claims he wants to make America healthy again. Cutting SNAP benefits will do the exact opposite of that. By reducing people's financial assistance for food, you will impact their nutrition. You will make them less healthy. Because there are a few things in this world that we know are unhealthy. Processed foods and starving yourself. Both are absolutely detrimental to your health. So you would think if they really want to make America healthy again, they wouldn't be cutting SNAP benefits. In fact, you would think they would maybe increase them. If you see in this chart here, it shows that when they had more money, they were able to get more meat, which I'm guessing is more like red meat and stuff like that, by 0.6%. And honestly, I know a lot of people have problems with red meat and they think it's bad for you. And I think this also includes probably more white meats like pork as well. But if you can provide solid protein to people, that's automatically going to make them be able to do more. right? It's going to make them be able to get up and make them do things. And if you can get up and you can exercise and you can do stuff, you can maintain a healthy weight. You can maintain a good health. And protein helps you build a metabolism. So this is important. Shows you right here, like a 1% increase in poultry. Chicken and things like that. That's always a good, chicken's a good, lean, meat to eat. It's good. It's healthy for you. It's better for you than, say, red meat. And it's good for you. So people buy more of that. But also, here's the kicker. Here's one of the big things that I see in this chart, right? Vegetables. They purchase more vegetables. And if there's anything that is good for the human body, for sure, it's vegetables. Like, I remember that whole plate they used to show us growing up in elementary school and high school about what a proper plate looks like. And it always had more vegetable than it did meat. And that's how it should be. That is a proper, balanced diet for the human body. So being able to buy more vegetables means they can reduce, less processed, they can produce, or they can use less processed foods. And this is overall good, because more vegetables, less processed food, the better you go. Now look at the biggest block on this list is a negative 2.5% decrease in the amount of fast food consumed by people on SNAP benefits. It also decreases food insecurity by roughly 0.7%. Now, is 0.7% huge in the whole scheme of things? No. But to that family, it's huge. To those families whose food insecurity goes away or is lessened by increased SNAP benefits, and by SNAP benefits in general, I guarantee you, to that family, it's amazing to them. I'm just saying, it's definitely a godsend for those people when they get the benefits that they need to feed their families and feed themselves, right? But going back to the fast food though, if there's one of two things that are really terrible for the human body, it's fast food and processed foods, right? We discussed processed foods earlier. They have a very detrimental effect. They're loaded with sodium. They can spike your cholesterol, your triglycerides, and the spike in sodium, the extra sodium in the processed foods, especially things you would get at fast food restaurants, increase your blood pressure. They increase your cholesterol, and they make you overall less healthy, especially when it's something you do consistently because you can't afford really to buy any groceries. Now, next we're going to talk about how people work on the food stamp program, right? Like here it says, this is from the same policy. Let me read their name again. Center on Budget and Policy Priorities. But that's who basically all these slides are from, except for one slide that is from the USDA directly. But this shows you here that the majority of people work. Most people on SNAP, also known as food stamps, work. As you can see here, most of these people work. Your non-disabled, non-elderly people, by the end of the year of them receiving their first SNAP benefits, they are back to working, right? And many are back to working within a month of getting their food stamps. And it goes on to show you through all of it. Households with a non-disabled elderly adult. It shows you how quickly they're back to work and how much they're working. And it shows you that households with children that are non-disabled get back to work even quicker than all the other organizations. And a large number of families that are on the SNAP program have children. Cutting SNAP benefits takes food out of the mouths of children and hurts the nutrition of children, right? And so you can see what's going on here, right? These things are good signs, right? Their nutrition goes up. The people in the program that are non-disabled are more likely to get back to work in a very quick fashion. And then right here you see a breakdown, the distribution of SNAP participants by age, fiscal year 2022. It's the most recent year that I was able to get a large amount of data, and this comes from the USDA directly. As you see here, children make up ages, let's see here, I can barely see it, but they make up roughly 28% kids ages 6 to 17. Adults aged, what's that, 19 to whatever, what is that, 39%, or 8 years old, it's 42%. Children younger than 5 make up for 11%, so roughly 38% or 39% of all beneficiaries to SNAP benefits are children. Sorry, I'm having a very hard time reading. I didn't put my glasses on, and it's so much smaller on my screen than it was a minute ago. But as you see here, a large number of people that receive SNAP benefits, roughly 38% of them are children. And then you have, of course, adults 60 and older, and they make up 16.3% of all people on SNAP benefits. Now, that shows you a lot right there. That all that information shows you the benefits. It shows you that people work, and this shows you that a large number of people, roughly 30 to 39% of the people on food stamps, are children. And I believe we could all agree, left and right, that all children deserve to eat regardless of their parents' ability to maintain high-paying jobs, and understand that all humans deserve to eat. I think most of us agree to that. But I know that I think just about all of us can agree that children deserve to eat regardless of who their parents are and how much money their parents make. Children should not have to starve simply because their parents aren't able to obtain jobs that make hundreds of thousands of dollars a year. Now, we're going to get into the bill. Now, as it says here in the slide here, House Republicans, they've already been targeting expanded work requirements. They want to get rid of things like the waiver programs that the federal government has given different states to allow them to administer food stamps and SNAP as they see fit, and tailor their work requirements to what they think is right for their state. And the program feeds, as we've discussed, roughly 40 million Americans. Now, these are things that Republicans want to do all the time, and it's nothing new, right? I understand them trying to get people back to work, but as we saw in that previous slide, people typically get back to work in pretty quick fashion within a month to a year of them first receiving SNAP benefits. So most people that get SNAP benefits get back to work, and they increase their work, right? For example, when my wife and I went on food stamps, we were on food stamps for roughly 2 years before she got her job. And immediately we lost our food stamps entirely because she got a job at Walmart working full time. And we were immediately kicked off the food stamp program. So people do get back to work. Up to that point, my wife had not been able to find work. She had looked for years for work and could not find work. But we only spent roughly 2 years on the program. And that was me being disabled and her having a very hard time finding work in the town we lived in. Now, the new bill that they've marked up, though, wants to go further than that. The new bill they're working on today in the House wants to cut roughly $230 billion from the SNAP program. And not just SNAP itself, but it's, as it says here, the Agriculture Committee wants to slash $230 billion across programs under its purview, meaning work requirements and changes to state waivers alone won't reach the target number, said lawmakers with knowledge of the ongoing talks. So as we can see, that's an untenable situation. $230 billion in cuts, when all we have to do is tax a billionaire, a few more percent. But these cuts would hurt people, everyday people that need help. The higher levels of spending cuts in the newly released House Republican budget blueprint means some current food aid benefits for low-income Americans would likely be reduced. Therefore, people's food stamps would be reduced. Right? Now, some GOP lawmakers are actually up in arms over this because they could lose their seats in the House over this. If these cuts go through, Republicans are going to lose seats. There's no way that it doesn't. As long as we get to an election in 2026, cuts like this would destroy the GOP. Because people are already regretting their vote for Donald Trump. And they're already regretting their votes for Republicans. You can see it all over social media. Now, let's talk about what some of these cuts would look like. Massive cuts like this would mean, from what I've seen, roughly 15 to 20% possible reduction in people's monthly allotments that they get from the SNAP program. Not only would this affect those people, retailers like Walmart, Target, Costco, and every other place that accepts food stamps would lose out. They would lose money. The economy would go into the shitter, literally within months, because people would no longer be able to buy groceries. And so they wouldn't be going to the store as much. They wouldn't be going into Walmart as much. They wouldn't be going into Kroger or wherever, right? So when it affects the stores, what happens? The workers there, layoffs. When those workers get laid off and those people are no longer, and they can't get food stamps, that means they can't buy groceries. It's a domino. And what happens, though, when people stop buying groceries from the grocery store? The farmers stop getting paid. And the federal government has to start subsidizing the farmers, and you just now wasted all the money that you could have saved. So at the end of the day, these cuts are absolutely draconian. They're absolutely terrible for the American people. They're terrible for the American business, and they are terrible for the American economy. Contact your local representatives, your state representatives, your senators, and let them know that you do not support the cuts to the SNAP benefits program. Anyways, this has been the Unapologetically Progressive, and I'll see you down the road.